right.
Well, welcome to the Real Blueprint for another episode. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We are excited to kick things off and have another fun conversation. So, without further ado, what up, Michael? What's going on, dude? What's new with you?
You
Happy
know,
New Year.
it's 2024. First time we've gotten back on this year, I think. I think that's one of our goals for this year, right? Um,
Yeah, be
is
more
to be a little bit
consistent.
more consistent about this. So starting that off on the right foot. Um, yeah,
Heck
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. We've had a lot happen in the last couple weeks. I tell everybody here that I need my own TV show, and they usually agree with me because there's I don't know, for Omaha, like being such like a small town, there's a lot of weird stuff that happens to me here. So this is unrelated to real estate sales, but I own this piece of property on 2.5 acres here, and I got a call. Well, I was sitting at my mom's house eating dinner 2 Sundays ago, and I'm on Instagram and I get a message from an Omaha police officer, and it just said, hey, my name is Officer So and So. I tried to leave you a voicemail about property address, and I couldn't get a hold of you. And I was like, spam. I'm like, what kind of Omaha police officer uses Instagram, right? So anyway, I get off Instagram, and sure enough, there's 5 icons on my phone. Um, 4 missed calls and a voicemail, and I listen to the voicemail, and it's that police officer. So I call her back, and she tells me there was a trespasser on this property, and she goes, the neighbor called in because the lights were on. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean the lights are on? Like, I don't really care that somebody's in the house. It's been vacant for 2 years. We're going to tear it down. But I was like, what do you mean there's lights on? I'm like, I haven't had utilities on that house for like a year and a half. And she said, well, my partner called the old owner, and he apparently never turned them off.
Oh,
So they've
no.
just been on the whole time. So the squatter like broke into this house, found utopia, if you will, because he just had lights, heat, I don't know what else. So anyway, so I call Tim, the old owner, and start talking to him. I'm like, how do we not like turn the utilities off? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I moved and got busy with my remodel, and it didn't cross my mind. It went on the back burner. They're on auto pay, whatever. So when I first bought it, I let him kind of stay there 6 months after closing because his remodel was taking too long, and um, I was like, if you just take care of the property, you don't need to pay us rent or anything. So he actually moved out about a year ago, and he goes, "This makes so much sense." He's like, "I've had like 10 to 12 identity theft hits on my credit in the last 7 months," and I'm like, "I don't understand. What does one have to do with the other?" And he goes, "Well, like I left checkbooks and stuff there." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Oh, no.
And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "They went and tried to open a joint bank account at a U.S. bank up the street, and just on and on and on." And I'm like, "Why do you still have checkbooks there?" And he's like, "In fact, when they arrested him tonight, he had my military uniform on."
Oh,
So
gosh.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, one, we need to shut off the utilities. And two, you need to like come to town and move your stuff. Cause I'm like, I could have torn this house down at any point in the last year, and all your stuff would have been gone. So he goes, "You're right. I'll call, he's like, I'll call 2 men in a truck on Monday." And I'm like, "What? You need a whole moving company?" I'm like, "I thought this was just some checkbooks and clothes." He's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "All my furniture's still there."
Oh, my
And I'm like, "Oh
gosh.
my God, this guy
That
broke in, and for
squatter
the
hit the
last seven
jackpot.
months, like he's had beds and bedding and extra clothes and furniture and
Close.
utilities, probably going to bed every night just being like, are these people ever gonna come home
That's
or
wild.
right?" So anyway, we got that all cleared up, and the guy, I looked him up on Forewarn, our little um, app that we have that shows background of people, and he's been arrested 31 times, and so he's in jail now. Not sure how long you go to jail
Gosh,
for that.
that's
But now he has like check
crazy.
fraud, like, impersonation or whatever, and then of course the trespassing. But so that's kind of wild. My last
That is
wild
insane.
week, if
Yeah,
you
we've
will.
had
But
squatters at listings, but not like nothing like
you
that.
have?
Yeah, just last year I had a squatter at one of my vacant listings, and
Oh,
we found out because the inspector went in for the home inspection, and I got a call like, "Hey, the sellers aren't here anymore, right?" And I'm like, "No, they moved out a while ago." They're like, "Well, this the primary closet is full of clothing and stuff
oh
and this
no.
and that. No one's here, but like there's a closet full of stuff." And I was like,
Oh
"Oh
no.
my gosh." So we literally like Went over there. It was actually one of the scariest things I've ever done. Like went to the house, like it got dark on me. Like we ended up calling the cops, but like they never showed up because it's such a low like priority on
That's
their list. And I'm like got my gun on me just in case. And we're like picking this stuff and just like neatly setting it outside. Like I have no idea how they got in. They broke into a window or they did nothing was broken.
oh,
And
this is like
it
a
was just
door or
like
window
crazy.
unlocked
Yeah.
then.
They somehow got in. And I don't know how long they were there for. I don't think it was too long, but it was
Weird.
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, so that
We
was
had that happen one time on a showing. Like we were showing a house in like Midtown, and the house was vacant, and we walked in, and the buyer's dad swore that he heard something in the basement. And we like stood in the kitchen really, really quietly, and he just swore to God he heard footprints. So we just like dashed out of the house and went in the front yard and just drove away. We're like, well, that's not the house for us.
that's
And
sketch.
I think it was, but like we didn't see like a worker's truck or anything, but it turned out it was
Hmm.
like some contractor down there working on something. But he was the quietest contractor in the world because he made no other noise besides sounding like a squatter. So
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, cool, man. Yeah, new year, new goals, new all the things. Tell me a little bit about your new routines, new I mean, I know we talk a lot outside of the podcast, but give the people what you're doing for a new daily routine and, all your stuff for the new year.
well, yeah. So I mean, it's kind of interesting. A lot of people do New Year's resolutions, right? And I don't know if you made any or if you failed on any yet, but this year I decided instead of New Year's resolutions, I'm just going to take January for what it is, and I'm going to see what I can like accomplish in 30 days, and like if I can stick to something for 30 days, that I think if you look at the year instead of like a 12-month thing, if you fail, you've ruined the whole year, right? It's like if you have a bad day in January and you fail on it, well, you're not failing like the whole year. And so
Hmm.
I also think January is such an important year to start off right and to feel good and be energized and like just get all your sales figured out and everything else that, if you don't do January the right way, it kind of, I don't know, it just puts the rest of the year, I think, on a bad tone. So, I mean, my real estate goals are what they are. I mean, it's 35 million in sales, and that's like, I think, 130 total transactions for me. And then, but most of my goals this year are growing our team, not in terms of agent count, but in terms of just each individual person. I've started developing my coaching program so I can coach them one on one. So we have 15 people to get through every week, but it's just half an hour coaching call sessions. And then just for me personally, there's just a lot of stuff I want to work on. And I mean, it's just kind of funny, even something as simple as like, like a nighttime face washing routine. When you like come home and you've been out late or partying or you're just tired, it's really easy just to like go to bed. You know,
Hmm.
in the morning, it's really easy just to like sleep for 20 minutes longer than it is to wake up and do my daily affirmations that I want to do and my morning routine. Or it's easier to stay in bed for like 20 more minutes than it is to wake up and do all that. Um, and so, I mean, the big personal thing for me is whatever my routine was going to be, it's just stick with it. I mean, it's 5 more minutes at night, it's 20 more minutes in the morning. It's not that big of a deal. And so whatever else I have to change in life to stick with that routine um, is going to be really, really beneficial to me. So I mean, I've done a really good job in the month of January with that. We're 17 days in so far. I'm on dry January. I'm sure like a lot of people are, but that for me has been great because I mean, I don't,
Hmm.
I'm on different medication that happens to work a heck of a lot better when I'm not drinking. And it's actually made me really, really happy, probably the happiest I've ever been. So,
Love that.
and all that has started January off really, really positive. So, I mean, I have the same, goals as like everybody else in terms of sales and things like that. But I mean, a lot of my goals this year are more, you know, personal based on just things that I want to work on. So, what about you?
Um, so I just had a little podcast, mastermind thing that we just did with the first of the year, kind of real estate colleagues and our brokerage. But one of the things that I kind of got out of it, and I think what it's kind of all of the goals are like fitting for me. Like my word of the year is going to be like be intentional, and I think you touched on that with everything and like personal business all the things is like just be intentional about that extra 5 minutes or the 20 minutes earlier, or be intentional about getting up when your alarm goes off. So I think being intentional for me is kind of the big goal. But I wanted to try to like break it down into like 5 sectors of like business, relationships, mental, physical, spiritual, with my life, and just try to make goals with all those. And yeah, the business goals, I want to do 20 million in sales, roughly 35 deals or so. I think, honestly, I think for me, if I focus on the number of sales this year rather than like the dollar amount, I think the dollars will come,
Right.
and focus on just like serving more people and focus on
Right.
that side of things rather than the actual number for, money. I think that's going to be a kind of a mindset shift for me this year. Physical, trying to get back in shape, man. I know we talked about doing dry January. I
You can admit it.
drank
It's
one day
fine.
this week.
He
I
failed
did.
everybody.
I failed this month at that one day. And I'm regretting it, but it was a good time. It was golfing and for my friend's 30th birthday, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, just trying to get back in shape. I miss, like, my Achilles are both healed, ready to go. I miss playing sports. I miss being active. So getting a six pack back is kind of my big goal for that. And just dieting better, eating healthier. And to your point, like not drinking, getting good sleep makes the world of difference in every other aspect in life. Like
Mhm.
more motivated to work, more motivated to, be a good dad and be around Cal and have energy for all that. Cause he's a wild child. At 3, he is just nonstop balls to the wall. And, I got to be there for that. And if I'm tired and hungover, like that's the
Right.
worst thing in the world. So, that spiritual, I think part of my thing for that is just to pray more, meditate more in the morning and before you go to bed. Like, should be something easy, but I also want to like journal. I
Mm,
think that's going to be
love that.
pretty huge, and I think that would be cool. I mean, if I can journal daily, even if it's just a couple sentences, and then read through all that at the end of the year, I think that'll be a pretty cool thing to do.
One of
And
my real estate mentors told me when I first started, and it's honestly one of my biggest regrets, was he said you should keep, at the time it was just a real estate journal of just about everything that happens to you in a day, like funny stories, whatever. And because I mean, there are things I was like, oh, I'll never forget that 10 years from now. I mean, I've obviously,
yeah, you know what's crazy? I don't know if you saw the new iPhone update. They actually have a new journal app.
I did see that.
So we have no excuses to not do that, or at least once a week or something to just write your thoughts down, goals, ideas, just all that kind of stuff. Something that was hard that you went through. I think that would be pretty cool to look at back at the end of the year to see how your year was, or like kind of what you went through and how you're feeling about it all. Um, what else did I say? Physical, mental. Oh, I want to learn Spanish. Like,
Cool.
so I'm half Mexican. My grandparents speak fluent. I did a lot of Spanish in college and I still know quite a bit. Like I could survive in Mexico if I needed to, but I've never been fully fluent in Spanish. And that's like been a huge goal of mine for like years. So I think this is the year I mean, not, I think this is going to be the year I become fluent in Spanish. And I think just being in Arizona too, that should theoretically help in the real estate world too. It should
Yeah,
be like
that's
a,
huge in Arizona.
right? Like, so I think that would be really cool to say I'm bilingual and be able to help people that only speak Spanish, and
That is
also like
cool.
communicate with my family that only speaks Spanish, or something like that. So that would be that's kind of a cool thing, that's has
I
nothing
really
to
want
do
to
with work.
learn. I want to learn like Mandarin, only because I have a lot of clients that speak Mandarin, and I don't want to tell them that I know it. I Because when they like go off in the corner during a showing and they're speaking Mandarin and they don't think I know what they're saying, they're probably saying like, "Oh, I really love this house, but we can't tell Michael that," and whatever. I'd really just like to just know what they're
Yeah,
saying.
just know it.
Tell them that, just like
Or
secretly
we
try
hate our
to
agent. He sucks.
yeah, I know. No one's ever. No one's ever.
Yeah, no, I know. What else? I think we're kind of on this train. We started it last year, but getting an audiobook, reading an audiobook a month, I think we wanted every 2 weeks, but that was kind of a lofty goal.
No, we never wanted every 2 weeks. I don't know what kind of goal that was.
Really? Oh, I don't know. I thought it was two a month, but
But I mean, on that note, I mean, let's talk about audiobooks for a little bit. So, um, we did have that goal. I think we got 5 recommendations on which ones to read. We skipped the first one completely because it just wasn't our vibe.
hmm
And I think that's something to keep in mind with things like that. Is we had it in our head. They're like, this was actually towards the end of last year, and we were going to try and read 5 before the end of the year. We're well into 2024, and we're on book number 2.
two and a
So,
half,
what?
2.5.
Well, no, we finished 1. Now we're on book 2, and
Then
then
we finished two. The Lewis Howes was the second one, and then we're on our book 3.
oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, so we skipped the second book, and it's
Mm,
you make a goal, sounds great, especially a goal that's you don't have to finish 5 by the end of the year for any reason. That was just kind of a timeline we put on it. So I mean, kind of circling that into like a mindset kind of thing too. I mean, I guess we could have been disappointed in ourselves for not finishing that when we said, but that doesn't do us any good, right? So I mean, I guess holding that positivity and the fact that we're still doing it is good. Um, but like the second book we read, we didn't like the narrator. We just didn't like a lot of like the I mean,
yeah.
we didn't like a lot of the wording in it. It was just a really hard book to follow. And so that, we were glad to just kind of punt that. We'll find a replacement down the road. So, but yeah, book number 3, I don't know if you've started yet.
Yeah, I did. And it
Off
honestly,
to
it's slow start. Slow start in my mind.
no, yeah,
Wasn't
I
like
mean
the last book.
yeah, I mean it is a slow start. I mean, compared to Lewis's book, it's a really slow start. But that audiobook, I think you would agree, resonated a lot with both of us. It was an incredibly easy read. The book is Lewis House, The Greatness Mindset, by the way.
hmm
Um, and
Amazing, amazing book. I'm gonna get the hard copy because there's a
yeah,
lot
we
of
both
prompts
said
and
that
stuff.
because there's like
Yeah.
little workbooks to follow along. Um, and I kind of listen to it in the like in my AirPods when I'm like doing stuff around the house, or now I go and I go to my golf simulator. Like last night, I think I went through 3 chapters of this book because I hit 200 plus golf shots last night, and I just listened to the audiobook the whole time.
Nice.
I mean, if you asked me to like spit back out most of what I just heard, I probably cannot. So I'm probably going to have to listen to most of these books twice if I'm
Yeah.
going to multitask while I'm doing it. But it's amazing. Even today, like I'm walking around and I'm remembering things that I didn't really know that I heard in the book. Um, and you wouldn't think that like the book necessarily is telling us how to be better real estate agents, right? You wouldn't think that Lewis's book was telling us how to be better real estate agents or better home builders or better whatever your profession is. But I mean, a lot of the tactics that they use in all of those are great. I don't know what chapter you're on yet. This book's hard to follow. There's not really chapters. There's like principles of life,
Yeah.
and then each one there's like a sub principle. So, but I mean, even like I've learned the 131 rule from Lewis's book. His book is helping me kind of curate my coaching program with my agents. So, the very first task I gave him before our first coaching sessions on Friday um, was they need to come up with their meaningful mission. So your meaningful mission, for those of you that haven't listened to that book, is made up of 3 parts. Do you remember what they are?
Nope. Not off the top of my
They
head. I
are
have this thing pulled up.
so your first is, what does your ideal day look like? And it's not just, oh, I'm sitting on a beach in Florida. All of these need to be very, very descriptive. What does your ideal day look like? Who are you with? You know, what kind of shape are you in? What are you eating? Where are you at? What is the weather like? What do you feel like? Like what, like stage of your life you're in, all of that, right? And then the second thing is, what does your what are you doing a year from now? And then same thing, it's incredibly detailed. Again, who are you with? What are you doing? How much money do you have? Like how little money do you have? Like all that, right? Whatever's important to you, you need to be very detailed. And then third one is you have to write your own obituary.
Hmm.
So very morbid, but the point is, you know,
What
that's how you want
do
people
you want
to,
your legacy?
right?
Yeah. What do you want your legacy to look like?
And so you have to write those 3 things out, and then somebody's supposed to help you kind of take those 3 things and make it kind of a shortened, meaningful mission. And then the book is all about how does everything relate back to that meaningful mission. are there people in your life that are not helping you be a part of that meaningful mission? And I don't want to get confused and like tell people that, you know, you're using people in your life, because that's not what that means. I mean, everybody should be in your life for a reason, right? And likewise, you should be in their life for a reason. You guys should be helping each other grow and be better, or make
Mm-hmm.
people laugh, make each other laugh, or whatever that purpose is, right? And so, how are people? How is your job? How is this activity translating to helping your meaningful mission? And if it's not, why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's obviously you can translate that in everyday life. You can translate that into real estate, whatever your profession is. So, I mean, that's the big thing that I took from that book, and that's what's kind of cool is like I don't need to remember every word of a book, every word of a chapter.
Yeah.
Remembering these little quotes, remembering the main reason behind it. Right out of the gate, the first thing on this book, the new book we're on. Um, Obviously, we've always heard people say, um, God gave you two ears and one mouth for a reason, right? And that is kind of resonated throughout the book a lot. Again, I don't know what part of the book you've made it through, so I don't want to
I'm just on the first part.
ruin that for you. But I mean, it's very much about you become better in life, you become better at your job, you become better at sales by listening to people.
Yeah. And asking good
There's
questions. That was one thing that this just total side note, but I did like some role play type like calls with another agent in Vegas. And
Yeah,
one of the things that I've realized is, well, I don't really cold call ever. I would say I'd never cold call. But when you're
same
just talking to people and engaging with people at, say, a listing presentation or whatever,
thing.
asking good questions gets you so much further than you going, well, I do this and I do that, and we've done this and we've done that. People don't, I mean, they care slightly about that, but it's more about them. And I think that was a pretty big aha moment for me when I was role playing with this dude, is like his questions are just like deep and like, well, why? Well, tell me more about that. And why is that
So when
important
you
to
get to
you?
chapter 4, um, he says, so my old tax accountant, and it used to actually bug me, would say my name no less than 200 times in an hour that I was with him. And again, that used to annoy me. And I try to be really good about, hey, Rick, what do you want to do with this offer? Rick, these are our options. What do you think of that, Rick? Like, I try to be that annoying tax accountant now and use people's name. Chapter 4 talks about people just love hearing their name. It means they're relevant, it means they're being seen. It's not an ego thing, that's just kind
Hmm.
of a psychological thing. And it had this like funny reference in there about someone's toothache means more to them than like an earthquake in Hawaii or a volcano in Hawaii. Like thousands and thousands of people are affected by that volcano, but this person has a toothache and he's going to be
Hmm.
upset about his toothache, then they're going to be, or then he's going to be about this volcano, right? And the point is that, I mean, like that's what's important to that individual. And so that person's problems are obviously going to be far more important than whatever your problems are. So if
Hmm.
you go into an appointment or any position like that and you're just talking about you constantly, they don't care. They
Yeah.
want to tell you about them and they want you to talk about them. And, why do you want to sell your house? Why do you need a new roof? Why do you need this? Why do you need that? Right. And the more questions you ask, the easier I think it is to get the sale, because it's like that old tactic, sell me this pen, right?
Hmm.
Or pencil, and when you hand that to most people, what's the first thing they do? They try and legitimately actually sell you a pencil and tell you the positive things about the pencil. And instead of asking you what you don't like about your current writing utensil, and then when you answer that, then they can rebuttal back and sell you the pencil. Same thing, what don't you like about your current house? All those sort of things. So
Yeah.
chapter
Uh,
4 is great.
mhm. That's good. Okay, it's slow start for me, but we're
And then,
working
I
through
mean,
it.
it's like the book was originally written, well, it's Dale Carnegie's book, and it's how to
How to
win.
win friends and influence people. I think
Yeah.
that's what it is.
And this is like the new version, but I mean, it still talks like it's from the 1930s, and it talks a lot about
Yeah.
history, and it uses this word, the hollyhocks, all the time. I don't even know what a hollyhock is, so I have to go Google that. Like, I don't know if it's like a bush or something in people's backyards, but they talk about it all the time. And
That's
so,
funny.
you have to just kind of like just in one ear out the other with that. But like, they said this phrase in there that every person is your superior in some way. Like I may sell $30 million a year, you sell 20 million. I guess I'm superior in terms of sales volume, but like, so that's what that means. There's a ton of stuff that that I don't. There's a ton of stuff I
Mm-hmm.
know that you don't. The person that like makes no money at all or does this is going to be really good at something that you're not. So that person's your superior in that regard. So you should respect. It's talking about how you should respect everybody, and you can
Yeah,
learn
and just not
something
have
from
an
it.
ego.
Yeah, and you can learn
And
something from
yeah,
every single person that you meet, right?
that's good. I
Um,
agree with that.
so the book, yeah, the book gets better. The first chapter is very, very
Okay.
slow, but but the book gets a lot better. So
Yeah, I think that Lewis Howes book was just absolutely amazing. I have
we should have saved
the
that. We should have saved that for the end, but that's
no,
okay.
that's okay. I mean, I think, one of there was like four like parts of that book. I have it pulled up right now just because I'm reading it. Step one's the enemy of greatness, like, you know, what is, your enemies for that? And then step two is the barriers. So fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment, self-doubt. Like there was some really, really deep intellectual stuff where you got to self-reflect and be like, gosh, am I fear of like, do I have a fear of failure? Do I have a fear of success? Do I have self-doubt? The third section I really liked was all about the mindset and healing your past, finding your identity. I think that's really important. I don't think enough people talk about that or open up about, everyone's got past traumas and everyone's been through a lot and everyone struggles with something. And I think talking about it with friends or having a therapist or, just talking about this is something that I've recently tried to start doing and have started doing and just opening up about feelings and emotions. And it's okay to, make mistakes and
Mhm.
not have a perfect image and this and that. And I think just being real with people and being who you are and learning from those mistakes and healing your past really was really, really, just like deep on so many levels. And I don't know, it's cool to have friends that you can talk about that stuff with. And I think, us doing this together has been pretty awesome. And our friendship has grown like crazy over the last year and a half or so. And it's just kind of cool to see or have friends and people going through the same life experiences together and living
Mhm.
life together. And I think really that's, what's life, it's what life's all about. So,
Right. Yeah, I mean, vulnerability is a huge, huge, huge thing. Somebody told me that 5 or 6 years ago because I think people who have a big ego, they're not ever really vulnerable, and
hmm
I think that's like a man thing too. A lot of people don't want to talk about their feelings and like what affects them and everything else. But I mean, like the power that you have when that kind of goes out the window and you realize everybody has trauma and everybody has issues
hmm
like that. I mean, it's pretty powerful when you realize that, and it kind of humbles you, and people
yeah.
want to see that. They want to see like that raw version of you.
Yeah. It deepens relationships. It builds trust. I mean,
Mhm.
not only do you get better friendships, but like even business people, like you'll get, you'll have stuff in common with somebody you didn't think you would have, or, there's a lot of ways that it could absolutely help you.
They talk
Just
about that in the book too.
really.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of great like little nuggets in the book. The book is hard to read. The book is hard to listen to. I think it'd even be harder to
Yeah.
read, but there's a ton of like little
Yeah.
great nuggets in the book. Um,
Good.
I mean, it talks about how do some people just make friends so easily, right? And how are they so approachable? And then when I listen to this, like I think to myself, like I compare it to like the people that I have kind of looked up to in my life. Because they run companies and do this.
hmm
Just the way that they problem solve, how they do that. Um, they never ever talk about themselves ever. Like there's a guy that he's a client of mine, and he spent like $700,000 on his backyard. It looks amazing, and he knew at the same time I was doing some little piddly $50,000 project in my backyard. And he's like, "How's your project coming along?" And I was like, "That's fine." I'm like, "It's a patio and like a hot tub and a little fire pit." And he's like, "Let me see pictures." And I was like, "Why?" Like, here I am sending pictures to everybody in my life who I think would be like, "Wow, look at that. That's great." But then I have this guy up here who's, I'm thinking not going to give a shit because he's doing the $700,000 backyard. and he seems more interested and excited in it than I am. And I would never hear about his backyard. Like he never wanted to send me
Uh,
photos. He would never want to talk about it. And he's made it in life, quote unquote. But whether or not you've made it in life, I mean, that's literally what this book says. Is like that's how all these people make friends so easily. That's how they're the most interesting person to talk to because like if you leave a meeting, someone's going to tell other people, "Wow, Curtis was like a great conversationalist. He was the easiest person to talk to." And you may not have said 5 words the entire time. You may have just let
mhm.
me talk the entire time.
Yeah.
But that's what most people want to do. They want to
Mhm.
talk. And, again, all the stuff that can help you do in sales and in life and with networking and everything is huge. So you'll like the book as it goes on.
Heck yeah. No, that's great. I think I think it's a good book for January, truly. I think ending with the Lewis Howes book in December, starting this one in January, I think that's
Mhm.
a slingshot for the year.
So let's talk quickly about you did a panel here in Omaha in August, and you had to
Yeah.
talk. You guys all had to talk just a little bit about, and we don't need to get into like the whole, how do we deal with distractions and fully staying positive, but how does like your morning, what does your morning routine look like from wake up to when you go to work? Um, and like if you don't do these 5 things, it screws up your day. Um, and what does that entail for you?
Yeah, mine's a little bit different because every day is a little different because I have my son
Mm.
50% of the time. So in a perfect world, waking up, so he gets up early. He was up at 5:30 today, just ready to go,
Oh,
which is
gross.
hard for me to get used to that because that's that, that's early to
That's
get things unless
early.
you go to bed early. And honestly, I think the not drinking and eating healthier and going to bed earlier makes you sleep better, which in turn you can get up earlier to be with your son. So it's working out, but it's definitely an adjustment
For the
for sure.
record, I have not drank since January 1st, and I still could not get up early.
Yeah, it's what time do you go to bed?
I mean, lately it's been like 9:30, 10 o'clock, but
Okay, well that's not too bad,
I'm
I guess.
just not.
Yeah. Well, it's
That's
also like
something.
negative degrees in Nebraska, so
When it's dark when I wake up.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
God, who wants to wake up to be? My dad used to say, if you're up early enough to turn lamps on, go back to sleep because you're up too early. So thanks, Dad.
I don't
So
I
anyway,
don't mind. I
back
like
back to
getting
your
up early.
routine.
I
Mm.
like getting up early-ish. I don't the 5:30 is early, 6:30, that's no problem. Um, but in a perfect world, it's, wake up. I got to get Cal to school the days I have him, and he goes to school. I try to drop him off by 7:30, 8 at the 8 at the absolute latest, because then after that, it's gym. Yeah, I got to get my workout in. I'm the type of dude that if I don't go to the gym in the morning, I won't go because the day fills up, then I'm tired, and then there's other stuff to do, and it's like, gym can wait. But I'm really trying to make that a priority, get back in shape and all the things. So gym in the morning, on my way to the gym or with Cal or whatever, it's that meditation alone time type. Just get your mindset right. Whatever that looks like for you. If it's, I don't know. I listen at the gym, I typically listen to the audiobook that we're reading together or listening to together. So gym is my good hour and a half of King audiobook. Um, Come home after that, get a good breakfast, and go to the office. So I probably should. What I like about yours is you have like the daily affirmations. I need to come up with those. I need to have some daily affirmations because I think I did those I had my goals written down on my bathroom mirror years ago, and I've kind of gotten away from doing that, but I think that's something that I kind of want to do again. Get the affirmations, get your goals, see them every day, see them in the morning, see them before you go to bed.
Yeah, I mean, like the
Um,
daily affirmation, like they seem weird because, I mean, like when I go out of town and, like I'm in an Airbnb and there's other people, I'm like, how do I do these? Because I'm like, I say them out loud. Like, because they tell you in the affirmations, you can either just listen to it in your head or you can say it
mhm.
out loud. Well, I say it out loud because obviously I live alone and it's just better for me. And I like do all these more. So I wake up, I go get my little protein shake in the morning, then I take like my morning vitamins and stuff, and then I just do like full body stretching in the morning while I do these affirmations. So that's like a 10-minute affirmation stretching routine thing. I go do the ice roller on my face. It's supposed to like wake your pores up and stuff, I guess. Make my
Science.
bed. What?
So it's science. I don't
I
understand
don't,
it,
I
but
don't really
apparently it
know.
works.
Someone with really good skin told me to start doing it, so there we go. Then I go back upstairs and I make my bed, and and then I shower and get ready for the day. One of the things in Lewis's book, though, is if you have things like ADHD, which I do, um, doing all of those small things in the morning, like making your bed, even like brushing your teeth, doing the ice roller. I have them on a checklist every morning. And the only reason I do is so that when I leave my house at 8 a.m., I've checked off 10 things on my to do list for the day. And that is like a great feeling before you leave your house that you've done
Heck yeah.
8 things. And so you start the day in a positive, like task completed oriented manner, right? Um, and yeah, I mean, even though it sounds, if I listened to myself and it was like, today's going to be a great day, I feel empowered today. Like these are the things, I didn't make them up. I listened to Bob Baker, and it's the same one. It's like the greatest 7-minute affirmations of all time or whatever. And I mean, I don't know. To me, I think that'll pretty much just be a daily thing. I mean, sometimes if I'm out of town, it might not be me stretching. It might just be me laying in bed with my AirPods and I say it quieter. But
Yeah.
I can tell a huge difference when I don't do that to when I do. And there's been some mornings like late last year that I forgot about it. And so I'll have it play through my car and I'll just say it to myself in the car. Because I feel that important about having them in there. So like whatever, I mean, getting your routine set up in the morning, like drinking water right away,
Hmm.
eating the right thing in the morning, if eating in the morning is your thing, like it's, you're going to notice like huge changes really quickly from that. I mean, I sure did. We're only 17 days into January, and I mean, I already noticed like big changes with that. So just
Agreed. I
being
feel
able to say,
great.
I know, and it's weird because normally I'm not. I mean, I like being spontaneous. I like booking flights at the last minute. So there's a part of my life that like loves the spontaneity, but I think like for this little stuff, like having the routine is something that I mean, I probably should have had years and years and years ago. And like we said, partying gets in the way, this gets in the way, work, life, whatever, and you just, you kind of forget about it, right? And
Yeah.
being able to accomplish those small up tasks first thing in the morning really sets my day off in the right way. So,
Heck yeah. I love it. I think that's great. If you're listening right now, we'd love to hear your routines or, your goals for the year. Reach out to us. We'd love to chat. We love new friends, old friends. This stuff is so fun and interesting to me because everyone's got different goals and different visions for the year, and everyone's in a different season of life. So I know the last couple of years for me, just things have drastically changed, and I'm sure the same with you.
hmm
And, just having friends and people that are positive, like-minded, and all that, I think that's huge for living life, man,
I agree.
for sure. So it's another good episode, dude. Appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, I agree. You too, man.
This is a fun thing to do. It's gonna be a great year.
I think so too. So, can't wait to
Heck
share
yeah.
the year as we go along. So,
Hell yeah. Love it. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. And any feedback we'd love and would seriously love to hear some goals.